spiritual gumbo. Back to the basics. Genesis 3, going on down. We just left off earlier talking about the creation of Eve, how Adam is not the same as the first man, and how Eve is a clone. But Adam must have been created with someone who looked like him to know that none of the animals were like himself. Didn't have a mirror, so how could he actually? I mean, he could look at his hands and say, okay, that's not me. But how would he know that it's not fit for him? We're not going to talk about what he may have done with these animals, but we're just going to just speak on the level of knowing that he knew that these animals aren't right, and none of them are meant for me. Come on. Establishing rules that copulation or connection with animals is totally forbidden. Verse 1, chapter 3. And the two were naked, both Adam and his wife, and were not ashamed. Now the serpent was the most crafty of all the brutes on the earth, which the Lord God made. And the serpent said to the woman, wherefore has God said, eat not of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said to the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God knew that in whatever day ye shall eat of it, your eyes would be open, and ye would be as gods, knowing good and evil. Stop right there. There's a lot said in this little verse. We're going to have to go back to the very first part of it, where it explains that the serpent is a brute. And not just that, but it's the most crafty of all the brutes. Okay? And a brute, and by definition now, is a savage or wild person or animal. But if you look at the picture of a brute, it's something that is a bipedal animal. Bipedal, meaning that it stands up on two legs. So this gives credence to that. And let's just go ahead and just slow it down just a little more. If you were a reptilian theorist type person, for whatever reason, this would be this one segment right here tells you that if there were reptilians, that the serpent, this thing right here, was the one that initiated all the bad things for the man with the soul on earth. And this is before the fall of the angels. We must appreciate that the fallen angels have not come yet. Going forward. It says here that if they eat the fruit, right, that their eyes would be opened. This is indicative that their eyes are closed or that they don't perceive in a certain spectra. Can you understand that? Meaning that they don't have comprehension for certain things. We're just going to go ahead and carry on. But Adam knew that this was his wife. Moreover, knew that it was a woman. Right? Just knew inherent knowledge. I don't know what to call it. Like if the Most High God gave Adam like a base directory of knowledge, root knowledge or whatever, and he was supposed to build on it. We don't know because it never developed like that. Adam and Eve didn't have children before they got kicked out of the garden, before they weren't immortal anymore. I mean, there's so many different little things. Anyway, let me just keep going. So we're going to pick up at verse 6. It says, for God knew that in whatever day ye should eat of it, your eyes would be open, and ye would be as gods, knowing good and evil. So the difference between the men and the gods is that men don't know good from evil. They weren't supposed to. That would have given them the innocence. Not knowing there's nothing to hold you accountable for on that level. But if you know, I have to hold you accountable. And so that way you come to a level of rationale yourself. There's things that you're going to experience that you find more pleasant than others. You'll probably try to replicate the pleasant experiences over the unpleasant ones. I can't get too carried away, but I must stress these things to you. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes to look upon, and beautiful to contemplate. And having taken thereof, and having taken of its fruits, she ate. And she gave to her husband also with her, and they ate. And the eyes of both were open, and they perceived that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons to go around them. And they heard the voice of the Lord walking in the garden in the afternoon. It's a powerful voice. And both Adam and his wife hid themselves from the face of the Lord in the midst of the trees of the garden. And the Lord called Adam and said to him, Adam, where art thou? And he said to him, I heard thy voice as thou walkest in the garden, and I feared because I was naked, and I hid myself. And God said to him, listen to this right here. Listen to this question that the Most High God asked. This is a very crucial thing. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Comma, unless thou hast eaten of the tree concerning which I charged thee of it alone not to eat. So listen right here. The Most High God said the only other way, but no, the serpent didn't tell them they were naked. No. But the serpent's plan was for them to see that they were naked. Right. Can you dig it? So before this happened, concepts of what warmth is, what cold, I mean, he put them in a place where they're supposed to just thrive, and they, man, it's madness, but just follow how they perceived. It's a mental thing and perception too. Takes a lot with your mind. So with their eyes being open, it tells me that the spectra, okay, the frequency, the megahertz, the gigahertz, whatever, the kilohertz, as they stream through our minds and our ears and our eyes, and we conceptualize what we believe is reality, okay, all right, that all changed for them in an instant. Verse 10, no, excuse me. Verse 13. And Adam said, because he's been asked about, did you eat of the tree? And Adam said, the woman thou gavest to be with me. Now, mind you, the woman's a clone of himself. She's a female version of him. So, the female version of me that you gave to me, she gave of me the tree and I ate it. So I gave myself of the tree and I ate it. I want y'all to listen to the foolery of Adam right now. How he tried to play himself. He didn't even see it. He didn't even recognize. See, they didn't have enough time to learn anything. It all happened in an instant. Man, this is so deep. It's so big. We're just going to keep reading. And the Lord God said to the woman, why hast thou done this? And the woman said, the serpent deceived me and I ate. So, why did the serpent come at the woman and not the man? And why did the man not say anything when the serpent was right there? Like, Adam had the intent of eating the fruit. See, doing what you're not supposed to do has always been something that people desire to do. I don't know what that's about, but we're reading about it right now and we're understanding how it is that we actually got to where we're at and how the people have the same mentality to this very day. Come on now, let me break it down to you. As we get further into the Genesis, as we read more and more and more, I want you guys to appreciate that it doesn't get any easier. And this is verse 15 as we close out. Listen to this. And the Lord God said to the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all the cattle and all the brutes of the earth. On thy breast and belly thou shalt go, and thou shalt eat earth all the days of thy life. I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. And he shall watch against thy head, and thou shalt watch against his heel. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy pains and thy groaning. In pain thou shalt bring forth children, and thy submission shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Let me stop right there. We're 10 minutes in. Spiritual Gumbo.